Hey up! Right, on the back of the Royal Enfield news video that I put out last week, that sparked quite a debate in the comments section, which opened my eyes a little bit, and so over the weekend I decided to do some investigation, if you like, into what are the top 5 motorcycle manufacturers in the world that provide the best customer care and warranty service after you've purchased the motorcycle. Now, first of all, context is important in this list. For a start, this isn't just a list that describes the quality and reliability of machines. It covers a much bigger sort of subject than that. This top 5 list is a collation of data gathered by various industry, retail and consumer associations and bodies around the world, and put together into a top 5 list of the best manufacturers, motorcycle manufacturers, and it's used the following criteria to achieve this ranking or list. First of all, reliability and ease of service. Secondly, accessibility to dealer servicing and warranty claims. Third, warranty claim experience. And number 4, support and parts availability. Now, what I did notice while I was doing this research is that regionally, i.e. in different countries, this list is slightly different. So what I'm going to do is give you the global rating, and I've used AI to crunch the numbers on that around the world, and the UK top 5 rating, just to give you some context that, you know, that these numbers and the order in which motorcycles are rated does change slightly from region to region. For obvious reasons, I can't give you a top 5 breakdown for every country in the world because this video would be about 8 hours long. So I'm going to provide you with the UK and the global numbers for context. If you want to look at how well these brands perform in the country that you live in, I suggest you do your own research. Although I will say here and now that the top 2 are unchanged pretty much around the world bar one country, and that is India. So, working from the worst of the top 5 down to the best of the top 5, starting at number 5. First up, in the UK we have BMW Motorrad. Now, this was a little bit of a surprise to me because I've owned quite a few BMW motorcycles. I've got to admit I've not had many warranty claims, but about 10 years ago especially, there was a lot of kerfuffle online about corrosion on these bikes and the difficulty that a lot of people went through trying to prove that it wasn't their fault and it was the fault of the motorcycle. Big subject at the time, but it seems that BMW have got their act together and they've managed to get to number 5 in this top 5 list in the UK. Globally, the number 5 position is held by Triumph Motorcycles. Again, a brand that I'm very familiar with. I've owned a few Triumphs. And in fact, I still own 2. I think probably the reason that Triumph hold position number 5 is that although the bikes are not the best, they do have a reputation for manufacturing faults relating to electrical issues, but I've got to admit they do pull all the stops out and they get you sorted out with a warranty claim pretty quickly. Generally speaking, it's just a conversation over the phone, maybe with a couple of photographs sent through. They don't ask you to jump through hoops, and ordinarily 1 to 2 weeks they've got the parts and they're ready to have you booked in to get the the issue sorted out. I think maybe the only sticking point for Triumph is this gearbox issue with some of the Bonneville models that they still haven't admitted exists, even though there is now a plethora of evidence online demonstrating that it is an issue. That's probably what's held them back and stopped them from appearing higher up in this list. Right, number 4 in the UK is Suzuki motorcycles. No surprise there. I started off riding with Suzuki even back in the 1980s, although the bikes weren't perfect. After sales care, which strangely enough was through Miles Kingsport, a company that I deal with now, was excellent. I remember I had a rear swing arm that rotted out in the first winter. I mean, it wasn't terminal, but the finish was knackered. And they had it sorted out, cleaned and powder coated within a week, and I never had any more trouble with it after that. So yeah, no surprise, Suzuki motorcycles holds number 4 position in the UK. Globally, position number 4 is held by Kawasaki motorcycles, again a brand that I've owned in the past. I don't actually remember ever having a warranty issue with any of those bikes, but servicing was convenient with 2 dealerships at the time in my hometown. And Kawasaki are of course famous for their performance, reliability and ease of access to spare parts. Right, number 3. Again, in the UK, number 3 position is held by Triumph motorcycles. So, you know, they're more highly regarded here in the UK than they are globally. And I think the reasons for that, looking at the data, is that here in the UK, they have cleaned up their act a little bit in the last 3 or 4 years with better communication and an improved dealership support, premium ownership experience, and generally a more proactive after-sales care and warranty management regime. Actually, this did catch me out. I wasn't expecting it. Good on Triumph for cleaning their act up, because you know, sort of 6 years ago when I was having dealings with them, it was quite abysmal. Maybe it is time for me to look at Triumphs again. Globally, position number 3 is held, again we're seeing Suzuki motorcycles, so we can definitely see how sort of global positioning with brands, you know, the level of support that's supplied by each individual country does mix and match opinions and data about these motorcycles from place to place. The level of after-sales care definitely is affected by the geographical location of the brand, except when it comes to position 2 and position 1. At number 2, both in the UK and globally, we have Yamaha motorcycles. I think, you know, that's to be expected. They are one of the best of the best. Highly regarded the world over for performance, reliability, quality, level of service and aftercare, availability of parts. What is described as a robust, reliable and easy to navigate warranty claim process, the second only to one. And of course, number 1 in the UK and again globally is Honda motorcycles. Unanimously cited as the leader in reliability, ease of maintenance, parts availability and availability of registered approved service centres. You don't have to travel far usually to access a Honda dealership. I've only ever bought one new Honda in my entire life, and I've got to say I cannot disagree with this general sort of global opinion about the brand. My experience with Honda is, I think, and you know, I'm saying this seriously, I mean it has been the best motorcycle purchasing experience of my life. Known for their polite, friendly staff that bend over backwards to accommodate customers, you know, you don't feel like they're there just to take your money. You can tell that there's a genuine love and interest for motorcycles and they want you to be happy. My local dealership, Miles Kingsport, bent over backwards to me. They made me feel very special, which is a bit of an alien experience compared to buying other brands, certainly over the last 20 or 30 years. They have the biggest and best dealership network worldwide, Parts availability is generally no more than 3 days. In fact, I did need a gasket myself for the Yoshimura video that I made last year. And, I went to their parts department expecting that they was going to order one in for me, and they had a load on stock, which surprised me because it's not a general service item. I think the lady that I spoke to, she said, we don't sell many, but we always have 2 or 3 on stock just in case. And that is the thing, the dealership takes the trouble to make sure that we've got parts on the shelves when they're needed. And if it does just so happen that the part you need they don't have in, they can usually get it within 3 days. And just as importantly, they also have well-appointed workshops with qualified technicians to carry out your servicing and repair needs. It is a service that you can trust. To be the best motorcycle manufacturer in the world isn't dependent on you just turning out good, reliable bikes. You've got to have the backup to back that up. And Honda have absolutely nailed that concept. They don't just offer the care at the time of purchase. That customer care is available once you've become an owner. They're there for you. And like others in this list, to varying degrees, that's what distinguishes a top tier motorcycle brand from an also-ran. Now, to address the elephant in the room. Last week it was a video about a Royal Enfield news release that kicked this debate off, and the comment section was very lively about this subject. Yet, as we've seen, Royal Enfield didn't make the top 5 worldwide. I think they are in the top 5 in India, but not number 1. Now, I did toy with the idea of doing a top 10, thinking that Royal Enfield would be in the top 10 somewhere, but they didn't make that list either. Now, for me personally, servicing my bikes isn't an issue. I'm not too worried about where the dealership is because I can do the servicing myself. Warranty issues are a different matter, and we've got to remember that not everybody is capable of or wants to service their own motorcycles. And from the research that I've done, Royal Enfield dealership coverage in the UK, Europe, USA and Australia is very, very poor. Now, this was to be expected when they first sort of rejuvenated the brand back in 2019. Ordinarily, within 5 years, I would have expected any brand to have made major advances to make sure that all the territories they were selling the bikes in were well covered, but they haven't. From what I can gather, people are often quite willing to travel long distances, like a 2-hour drive or a 4-hour drive to go and buy a new bike, but ownership then becomes a problem afterwards when they're looking at the same sort of length of journey just to get a service done or just to get a component looked at because there's a possible warranty issue. And then, if there is a warranty issue, they've got to go home, wait for the parts to be delivered, then take the bike back and go through it all again. It becomes a major barrier to ownership for a lot of people. Now, by my reckoning, far from Royal Enfield dealerships here in the UK expanding, we've seen a slight contraction of the number of dealerships available. I mean, it's not been an issue for me because, as I say, I do my own servicing on my bikes. And thinking about it, I've never actually been into a Royal Enfield dealership to buy a bike. I always buy them online because of the huge distances involved. But when it comes to a warranty claim, that is where I've run into issues. Now, my classic 500 had a scratch on one of the side panels, which was reported immediately, no problem. The part was ordered. It took 6 months for me to get the part. That was back in 2020. Since then, I've had a further 2 warranty claims on the classic 350. The first one was regarding the quality of the paintwork, and I'll be honest, I gave up because it was just too much hassle, too much travelling involved to get it looked at and get it sorted out. The second time when my clock failed, I couldn't ignore that. And I do get the feeling that Royal Enfield were trying to rush it along as quickly as they possibly could, because obviously I run this channel. But it still took almost 3 months for that to be resolved, and it was a lot of hassle. Now, in the comments section of my last video, this is a common theme. I had one guy that said his clock had gone on his classic 350. He'd been waiting 10 months for a replacement to come into the country so that he could get his bike back on the road. He got fed up and eventually paid for it himself, bought it from India, and had the bike back on the road within a month. You shouldn't have to do that. There was another guy that told me he's currently been waiting for a year. Now, over the years running this channel, I've had literally hundreds of similar anecdotes in the comment section, and I do just treat them as anecdotes. I treat them with a pinch of salt. I have no way of proving or disproving them either way. Now, I will stand up and say, you know, I love Royal Enfield motorcycles. I've never had any of them actually let me down as such. They are reliable bikes. But quality control does vary from one model to the next, and inevitably, as with any product, a customer is going to run into problems with them after purchase, and this is where Royal Enfield really lets its customers down. And I think it's this press release that I read out that really got me thinking about this brand. Now, what they've done is something that I've never known any other motorcycle manufacturer do. I mean, it might have happened, but I'm not aware of it. Is that they've opened up a specialist, the first of several specialist service centres. These are not people that sell Royal Enfield motorcycles. They've been employed specifically to administer to the needs of customers for servicing and warranty claims. That's quite an odd thing to do in my book, and the first thing that sprung to my mind was, this must mean that they've reached saturation point with dealerships. Not that they think they've got enough and they don't need any more. It's a case of, with them being franchise dealers, obviously they don't own the dealerships. These are entrepreneurs and companies that have the facilities, the premises and the staff to sell motorcycles, applying to Royal Enfield to become authorised dealers. They've reached the point in the UK where no one else wants to get on board with Royal Enfield. That's problem number one. Dealership coverage is very poor in the UK. If you live in the north of UK, you've got very little to choose from and huge distances to travel in order to get the various services carried out. Midlands, it's a little bit better, but the biggest concentration is down south, and strangely the first service centre that they've put in place is down south, right where they've got the biggest concentration of established dealerships. So us northerners and people in places like Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland are unlikely to see much improvement in the near future. Now, that's just my opinion based on what I've seen, and I could continue throwing opinions at you, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is just read a synopsis that was prepared by AI based on opinions and general customer experiences around the world. And it reads as follows. After sales care, in brackets, mixed to poor. Variable quality. Service quality varies heavily between locations. While some users report a positive, prompt service, others report long waiting times and poor communication, particularly in high volume regions like India. Number 2, focus on sales over service. Some customers report that the dealerships are highly focused on selling bikes, with less attention given to the efficiency and service of the workshop. Number 3, recurring issues. Some users have reported recurring mechanical issues, suggesting a lack of thorough inspection or consistent technical knowledge at certain service centres. And lastly, communications gaps. A common complaint involves lack of updates, with customers facing at times months of waiting for repairs or parts or any updates on ongoing warranty claims. Now really this just reinforces my own personal experiences with Royal Enfield, especially when it comes to warranty claims, and of course all the various comments that I've received about these issues on the various videos that I've put out over the last 6 or 7 years. It's not good, and it doesn't seem to be improving. Over the years, I've seen a lot of regular viewers come to this channel for the Royal Enfield content because they'd recently bought a Royal Enfield, or they bought one because of my content. And after a time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, they've moved away from the brand, citing these sort of reasons. And to quote feelings that are often thrown at me, Royal Enfield put all their efforts into selling as many bikes as they possibly can, but they are not there for the customer when there's a problem. Now, I'll just read the final part of this report regarding ease of warranty claims for Royal Enfield. It says, comprehensive but rigid policy. The 36-month warranty is comprehensive but rigid. It strictly requires using authorised service centres, and genuine parts using aftermarket parts or non-authorised servicing can void it. It operates a borderless warranty in some regions, allowing repairs at any authorised centre, but the rider is often responsible for transporting the bike to that location. Now, one thing I will tell you, here in the UK, it is the responsibility of the retailer to collect a bike if it's not rideable for any reason. They can't put that cost on you. Anyway, I'll continue. Parts delays. While the warranty process is straightforward in principle, delays in receiving parts, especially if they need to be shipped from India, can cause long and drawn out repairs, which is what I've just covered from viewers and in fact my experiences with the warranty. Dealer dependence. The speed of the claim depends heavily on the dealer's ability to document and submit it correctly. In cases of disputes, escalating to regional Royal Enfield customer services has been reported as being necessary. The verdict: if you live in a major city, access to service is generally good. However, if you rely on a high pressure or less established dealer, you may face challenges with service consistency, parts availability. Ensuring all maintenance is done correctly to the schedule at official dealer is crucial to making warranty claims straightforward. Now that pretty much proves everything that I've been told in comments. People that live up north, like me, they just don't consider Royal Enfield ownership worth paying the price. I mean, the bikes are quite highly priced nowadays. They're by no means as cheap as they once seemed to be. But when you're dependent on a Royal Enfield dealership and the nearest one to you is 120 miles away, I think it does make sense now at this late stage to perhaps look at other brands. Royal Enfield, may have progressed in that it's producing some really good bikes, and it's now got quite a large model range to choose from. Ownership can be problematic once you've put your money down. Royal Enfield are way behind where they should be when it comes to dealership coverage, servicing and warranty issues. And those are not my words, those are global opinions about the brand, so don't shoot the messenger. Right, that's the elephant in the room addressed. I'm going to go now. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. I'd also appreciate it if you'd leave a like, hit the hype button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. You can help me out in other ways via my Patreon page, PayPal donations. Details of how to do that are in the video description down below, or via the super thanks button. I am of course going to be back next week, so until then please ride safely and I'll see you soon.